on DAZN worldwide, May 2nd and 3rd. A knockout weekend of boxing. Garcia versus Romero and Canelo versus Skull. 2 huge fights. Pick one or go all in for only $90. Exclusively on DAZN. Buy now at DAZN.com.
Look at you, look at that.
This isn't the Daily Mail, mate. There's my thumbnail. Andrew McCart, iFLTV, delighted to be joined by Billy Nelson himself. Billy, how are you, sir? We're in sunny Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. You feeling good?
All good, mate. It's been a very good camp. And I'm really looking forward to Saturday night's performance for the guys.
On talking about Martin, I tell you, when you look at what he looked like in the ring and his weight and stuff like that, looking at him here in this gym, he's worked hard, it looks like, in this camp.
He works hard every camp. He just never had a camp for Parker.
That's true.
He had his dinner, then he jumped on a plane.
Yeah. Hindsight, though, when you look back at that, going off with the sort of like the flights and taking it such in 24, 48 hours notice, whatever it was, hindsight, right decision for you yourself? Was it the opportunity you just couldn't pass on? Couldn't pass
it by, but it was the financial reward that Martin got for it was magnificent. So he's safeguarded his family's future for life.
And that, I suppose, when you get into boxing, fighters like Martin Bakole, and I suppose every fighter, that's the aim, isn't it? To
every fighter,
get in, get out.
Every fighter. I mean, I've only managed a few fighters, but what you want to do is try and secure a future forever after boxing. As the world's best promoter, Eddie Hearn, said, you've got a short window to maximise their earnings. Well, I maximise his earnings. And now you're getting a hard time for it. You can't win.
Well, that's it. Well, let's talk about big Martin Bakole. He's up against Efe Ajagba, a fight that was penciled in anyway before the Joseph Parker fight, but we are here. I spoke to Efe Ajagba yesterday, and I'm telling you what, Billy, he is confident. He's talking a good game. He thinks he's going to go in there and put on a performance and stop Martin Bakole. When you hear a fighter like Efe Ajagba, who is a big puncher, and he says all this sort of stuff,
is he a big
puncher?
He's
a decent puncher, but you know yourself.
He's a big puncher.
Yeah, we know Martin's a big caller, definitely. When you hear a fighter talk a game like that, talk a good game like that, what does that do for Martin and yourself going into this fight?
Gives you extra impetus to smash him, and that's what he's going to get. He's going to learn what a world level heavyweight, what it's like to face a world level heavyweight on Saturday night.
Martin's obviously no stranger to Riyadh season and the big events and whatnot. He's been to Saudi, he's been to the LA. Efe Ajagba, though, he is a heavyweight that maybe not many people know about, but he has cut his teeth out in the US, which is difficult. That being said, obviously, you can't step up on this fight because of what's next. You look at the WBC rankings, Martin's 4, Ajagba's 3. There's more to it on this fight. It might not be a world title on the line, but this is a world. You've got to treat this like a world title fight, don't you, going forward, because of the fights that could be next.
Every fight's a world title fight now for us. We just want the opportunity. Once we take care of business on Saturday night, Martin deserves a turn. He deserves something. You know, whether it be a fine eliminator or a straight shot at a world title against somebody, he deserves it now. You know, Ajagba's a decent fighter. He's a good fighter who hasn't beat very much. Let's be perfectly honest. He got beat with Frank Sanchez. Comprehensively beaten against Frank Sanchez. He gets stopped by Campbell. He's a decent puncher. He is a decent puncher. Decent's no good enough to beat Martin Bakole, though. Sorry, but it's not. Or it shouldn't be. If Martin Bakole brings his A game, this fight doesn't go by 5 rounds.
You mentioned there about the sort of the shot next after this fight. I know it's a question I should be asking you after the fight. But when you look at the landscape and how do you map out the next fight for Martin Bakole? Obviously, the world titles are held up with Dubois, Usyk, which I will get your thoughts on. How do you navigate his next fight, or what's the map for his next fight?
Well, you've got to fight somebody very high in the rankings. After this fight, we'll obviously take Ajagba's rankings and possibly we'll move right up in the. We'll be number 3, I think, in the IBF, number 3 in the WBC. We're already 3 or 4 in the WBA. So, come on, you've got to be there or thereabouts for some form of title shot, haven't you?
Are you hoping that come July when Usyk faces Dubois that these mandatories get called and then hopefully some of the belts become vacant because of the the volume. I know the WBO was called for with Joseph Parker, so I don't know what the situation is there. So are you hoping that some of these belts become vacant and Martin gets his shot?
Well, one of the mandates has already been called a final eliminator. Hrgovic versus Sanchez. Now Sanchez is coming off a victory after being knocked out. He's coming off a victory against a guy that was 18-34. How on earth can you get a final eliminator at the back of that? You know. But listen, the WBC's there. Lawrence Makoli's looking for a fight. Let's get that on in Usyk. Daniel Dubois undercard for a final eliminator for the WBC.
I've got to say, away from this, obviously the Joseph Parker fight was the last minute thing, but with the full camp, the Joseph Parker fight.
Well, Martin would have beat Joseph Parker, no problem. No problem.
Is that a fight that you're looking for in the future?
We're going to ask His Excellency after this fight if we can get an immediate rematch with Joseph, because I think most top fighters are tied up in fights, and the opportunity if Joseph has Joe got to wait till when would they have to wait till? So July is when they're fighting Daniel and Usyk. So let's surmise that the WBO, if he fights for the WBO, that ain't going to be to Christmas. Is Joe got to wait for February to Christmas before he gets his world title fight? Surely he'll want a fight in between. And I know Joe's a right fighting man and a real man. So I think he would be more than happy to give Martin a rematch once we come through Saturday night.
I agree with you. When you look at Joseph Parker's pedigree and his resume, he doesn't say no. Same as Martin Bakole. So it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, we all know the story. That Martin got off a plane and fought Joseph Parker at the camp and whatnot.
And hurt Joe. Make no mistake, he hurt him twice in that fight because he was blinking quite badly, and then obviously it landed the shot at the top of the head, which can happen in boxing. Technically, it's an illegal shot, by the way, but that happens.
I spoke to Martin and he broke it down for me, and I wouldn't say on camera, but he knows why that shot landed.
Oh, it was a desperation shot.
Yeah.
It was a desperation shot. Joe doesn't throw a right hand like that. A looping right hand over the top. It doesn't. And 9.95 times out of 10, if Martin was in a full camp, 9.5 times out of 10, he'll just simply slip under that right hand and catch you well left.
I don't know if I can say it. If I've cut it out, he said it was because of his belly. He couldn't bend down and he had to move his head.
Because he never had a camp. None.
Yeah. That's the funny thing, because when I was talking to him about it, he says I couldn't move, and he was talking about how his belly, he couldn't get under. And that's at least he's honest and he's fair about it.
Well, how can you can't say anything else, can you?
No, definitely not. Billy, I want to talk about last weekend. Obviously, I know it was kind of difficult for you to watch the fight out here in Riyadh because you're busy with Martin, but you caught the highlights, I believe, or you caught a lot of the fight in Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. Wow, what did you make of it?
Both of them come out winners. Both of them come out winners. Conor for stepping up a couple of weights and fought his heart out. Went right up my estimation. I think he should step down to 154. They were perfect weight for him. And Chris Eubank, well, the numbers in that fight for a man that's killed himself to make the weight are frightening. I mean, he threw 40% more punches than Conor, which, you know, for a heavier guy to throw 40% more punches than a lighter guy, that's a phenomenal effort. And given that he was weight drained to bits, fantastic. Two of them, I think with my hat to you.
Billy, we are both old enough to remember their dad's fights. I'm just slightly, I don't know if I can remember the first fight, but I remember the second fight. You can well remember both fights because you're probably 20s in your 20s.
I remember the second fight because my mother died on the Tuesday leading up to the fight on the Saturday, and in October the 5th, 1993. And I remember it, I'll never forget that. And I was training with Willie Quinn, who was on the undercard of that fight. Yeah. And unfortunately for Willie, he was the fight before Nigel and Chris, and the production team. It put one foot through the ropes. I wasn't there because I was mourning for my mother, but he put one step through the ropes and got a tap for the production team. The fight was going to be too close to the main show, so his fight got cancelled. So 2 months of sparring with Willie went out the window.
Wow.
But it was a shame. But listen, they two men, fantastic fighters in the day, weren't they?
Definitely. And when you look at their sons, there was a lot of pressure on them because they would have got compared to their father's fights, the two fights in 1990 and 1983, and there was probably a lot of pressure on them to even perform at that sort of level. But when you look at the way they performed, they fought like it was about legacy more than anything, and it was a fantastic spectacle. Oh. But I want to get your thoughts on, as a boxing fan, and as, again, boxing is a sport, but we love the storylines behind it all. When you saw Chris Eubank Jr., Senior, walk out with Junior in that arena, when all this sort of like he wasn't going to show up and this, that, the next thing, what was going through your mind? I bet you were like the rest of us, like a little kid, like, wow, this is amazing.
Phenomenal, mate, phenomenal. And it must have given Chris Jr. a huge boost having his father there, because you know, he must have been watching, and I don't know how long they decided that this was going to happen. It's probably been a wee while, you know, but when Nigel Benn was so supportive of his son, as he always has been, it must have been a wee bit sore seeing Nigel supporting his son and nobody there. You know, Chris Senior wasn't there for Chris Jr. But listen, they got the desired result and a cracking fight, and I hope they do rematch, but on a fairer weight, no stipulation with the hydration, because hydration shouldn't be allowed in boxing. I don't even agree with the IBF, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Billy, it'll be remiss of me not to talk about Luke Bibby. For people that didn't know, in your eyes, and many people's eyes that probably watched it, was a robbery. Just to explain what happened down in Wales.
An absolute scandalous result. We went to Wales, fought the guy Rashid Omar, and Rashid, no, he never won the fight. His reaction after the fight, immediately after the fight, his head went down, he walked back to the corner. Luke Bibby won 8 of the 10 rounds. He lost round 6 and he got dropped in round 10. And the referee, in his wisdom, had Rashid winning by 1 point. Honestly, that Enzo Macronelli, Gary Lockett, other top fighters that were there, have actually publicly said that Luke outscored him 4 punches to 1, which he did. Luke landed more body shots than what Rashid landed head and body the full fight. I honestly, sick to it. I was absolutely gutted for the boy. Breaking his heart in the change room, you know what I mean? That boy works his nuts off every day. You know what he's like. He's a fantastic athlete, and it's just so wrong that incompetence can, and that's all it is, incompetence. Scoring for the referee, and I told him so.
Couple more from me. The rematch has been ordered, and it's happening for undisputed all the heavyweight belts with Usyk and Daniel Dubois. We all know what happened in the first fight, but Usyk's Dubois is on a very, very good run of form of late, so going to be a much different fight. How do you see it?
Do you think it'll be a different fight?
I think it'll be different. Yeah.
I don't think it will. I think Usyk is just. Listen, Daniel's done. Daniel deserves his world titles. This unification fight more than what he did the first time, because of his victories against Miller, Hrgovic, and AJ. Fantastic, great results, absolutely brilliant, and he's looked good doing so. So he more than deserves the shot against Usyk, but Usyk's a different level. Let's not forget, right? And this is nothing against Daniel. He never won a round in that fight, not a single round. And the only controversy was the low blow, of which it was a low blow. Doesn't matter if you think it was, I think it wasn't. Doesn't matter, anybody. The referee said immediately, low blow. And even more so, Usyk went into shock. He was trembling in the corner. That man, for me, is a modern day Genghis Khan. You know, tactically astute, brilliant, fantastic athlete. He wouldn't react like that if it wasn't a low blow. Come on, let's give the guy credit. He's fought in everybody's back garden, done it everything the hard way, and came out victorious. No.
Usyk wins by stoppage again?
Quite probably, aye. Because Daniel can't sustain a lot of punches. He can give it. When he's confident and giving it out, he's good. When he's getting it back, he's not so good, and that's proven. When I know he hurt his Achilles heel against Lorena, but Lorena's dropped him 3 times. The first time was a legitimate punch, the other 2 times a wee bit contentious because of his ankle. Joe Joyce laid it on him, and he pulled his out the fight again there, you know. And when Usyk just outboxed him, you know. But he's got a great puncher's chance, but that's what it is, a puncher's chance.
One final one for me, Billy. Martin Bakole is fighting on DAZN, which, by the way, the link is in the description of this video. For all over the world, for people in attendance, what is going to happen? What can we expect from big Martin Bakole on Saturday, Sunday morning?
Well, Efe Ajagba's been very vocal. I'm told that he's going to do this, that, and the next thing to Martin Bakole. The last person that done that was...
He did say he's the king of Africa, Efe Ajagba.
He'll be the Queen of Africa on Saturday night. He'll be Martin's bitch when he's going to take a beating that he's never took before.
Music to our ears, I think, as boxing fans, Billy, we love it when we're promised a firefight like this, and it's going to be a firefight, and everybody loves a heavyweight fight. But Billy, as always, thank you so much for your time. We're in the beautiful Mike Tyson Boxing Club here in Riyadh. It's a fantastic facility. But I didn't bring my gear, so I couldn't train. Sorry, Billy. I could have done some pads with you.
I don't know what you have got in, Andy, but you certainly haven't brought your gear.
That t-shirt, look at that. To be fair, this is quite a nice wee t-shirt, Billy.
That is, mate. You were slagging it off.
No, but see, it's grown on me.
But is this is coming for the same guy that FaceTimed me last night from the actual shop that I bought it.
I know,
and said, I've seen that.
That's
top.
when I noticed. I looked at it, I thought, shit, that's Billy's t-shirt. That's quite nice, man. I wonder if I might buy it. I might buy it and get one like you. Yes, Billy, thank you so much as always. Good to see Martin Bakole train today. Looks on fire, and I cannot wait for this fight. But as always, Billy, thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in about 2 minutes. Cheers.
Live on DAZN Worldwide, May 2nd and 3rd, a knockout weekend of boxing. Garcia versus Romero and Canelo versus Skull. 2 huge fights. Pick one or go all in for only $90. Exclusively on DAZN. Buy now at DAZN.com.